All right, welcome everyone to another edition of The Lab presented by Champ Media. My name is Ben Lyons, and if you're a fan of all things Michigan sports, especially Michigan basketball, then we've got a very special episode in store for you today, because joining the show, one of the original members of the Fab Five, the most iconic team in college basketball history, Jimmy King, is hanging out with us in the lab. I don't know. I think the first time I met Jimmy was back in 2013. We're going on 10 plus years now of considering each other family, because he obviously is close to Jalen Rose, who has his annual golf tournament. And I think I first met Jimmy at the golf tournament, or I don't even know where at this point, but I've really gotten the chance to know him over the years, and he's an incredible guy, not just for what he did during his time at the University of Michigan and then going on to play pro ball, but for the guy he's become and he's grown into. And that's really what the Leaders and Best is all about, right? The Lab is a place to celebrate not only the accomplishments on the court and on the field, but in the game of life. And Jimmy is winning. I mean, this man graduated from the University of Michigan and walked the same day his daughter did, which I think is really cool. He's continuing to find ways to touch the game and support the next generation of athletes. And he's lived all over the world and he's pursued his dreams, and he's just a great dude. And I love him, and I love that he was able to find some time in his busy schedule to come hang out with us here in the lab. So I'm very excited for this next interview. I hope you'll share it with those who love all things Michigan. Here's my conversation with the great Jimmy King. We got a family theme to the episode today, because my teammate from Family Feud, my family, Jimmy King, is kind enough to join us. It's great to see you. I appreciate you taking the time, man. How you doing? How's things going?
Yeah, I'm doing well, Ben. It's great to see you. Thanks for having me. And of course, let's keep this win streak going. I know Family Feud was a few years ago, but I still play in my head. I still play randomly with random people if I see the show going, and I act like I'm an expert.
Undefeated on Family Feud. What do you mean?
That's right.
That's you, man.
That's right.
But before we get to all the basketball stuff and the Michigan sports stuff, I do want to keep it family, because I think you did one of the coolest things that anybody has ever done. You graduated and you walked with your family. Tell me the story of how that happened.
It was awesome. So my daughter was going to U of M, and I had been considering going back for a long time to complete my degree. And the opportunity came her senior year. And I asked her, because I want to rain on her parade, but I asked her if she'd mind if I graduate or came back to school to graduate with her. And she was all for it. So it was special to see my daughter graduate, but also graduate with her, 50 years later or 30 years later. But it was awesome because, it was like a challenge. I told her she can't graduate before I do, but technically she did.
But you guys walked together and shared that moment, and forget the tip in against UCLA and the multiple Final Fours and, playing in the NBA. That's right up there, man. That's right up there. How much respect I have for you for that. So congratulations to you both. That's really cool.
Thank you. She's doing well. She spent the summer, last summer in Barcelona doing internship. So she's, pressing forward, moving along.
All right, so speaking of internships in the family, I'm learning that you have a nephew named Jason who's working with Champion Circle, with Champ Media. Is that true?
John.
John, okay.
Yeah, I do have a nephew named Jason, too. But the one that's working with you guys is John. His name is John Sanders. He just signed with Eastern Michigan, coming from, I think, Southwest Louisiana, something like Northwest Louisiana. And he, what can I say? He's family, great kid. Smart.
It's amazing, of course.
He's a lefty. I love lefties. I always wish I was a left-handed player. That's why I love Jalen so much. I loved because he looked awkward when he did it, but at the same time he made it look good.
Oh, that's great, man. And it's so cool because you can tell that the legacy that you guys built at U of M with the Fab Five, it still means something to this new generation, whether it's your daughter or your nephews or, kids who weren't old enough to see you guys play. They've heard the stories now. They feel the impact. How has it been being a part of the Fab Five as you've gotten older and seeing this next generation of hoopers, of students at the University of Michigan kind of embrace you guys and learn your guys' story?
It's been great. It's been, particularly, I have to say that the new coaching staff as well has been very welcomed us all with open arms. When they first, walked in last summer, I met with them multiple times over the summer, throughout the year. Been to a couple of games. I was just up there last week, snuck in for a practice, and I got to tell you, I'm pretty excited. They look good. They're big, which is great, and they're talented. It's just going to take time for them to mesh, to get, time of playing together. And but I'm excited about this year. They embrace us. They know about the Fab Five, and still, when I go different places, I get recognized, and people always tell me what they remember about that time, whether it was a UCLA game, where it was Duke game, or Ohio State, or Kentucky, whoever. They remember where they were and who they were with. So that was pretty special. But the young guys at Michigan right now, currently, it's their time, and that's all I keep telling them. Like, it's nice. Thanks for the love, but really, it's your time. Go get that championship. Go get that ship.
Are we seeing the shorts still too high though at practice? Because you guys fought so hard to have the big shorts. Like, what's going on?
V, look, it's the same thing as if we were coming in. We probably will wear short shorts because we want to, make our own claim. So I'm not an advocate for short shorts, but I get it. I understand why it's going. They're starting to inch back up, but I'm a long short advocate for sure.
No, you guys fought so hard for this, and now they're throwing all that hard work out the window. It's ridiculous.
No, it comes back around. It's not totally gone.
Yeah.
I still see some long. They're not really long. They're but some longer shorts. But like I said, it's their era. I get it. It's their time. I know they want to do something different and have the style of their own.
So I think it's so cool, man, that you get to show up at practice and take a look at, the team as they're getting ready for the upcoming season. So let's break it down a little bit. You said they're big up front. We know Michigan's always got solid guard play. Danny Wolf went to the NBA. He's going to be playing down the street from me with Brooklyn, and Juwan Howard's going to be on the bench there for him, which is great. I love that. Awesome. But tell me a little bit about what you're seeing from this current group.
So, like I said, they're big. Their inside play is going to be phenomenal. I think, they attack the rim. They go hard. They got big guards. The guards, particularly Trey, coming in is ready as a freshman. Physically, he looks like he can handle the physicality of the Big Ten. Just watching how he moves, he's a natural leader. I think as the year progresses, he'll be more vocal. But I like what I see. They got a good mix again up front, in the backcourt, in the front court. And again, I'm just amazed at their size. We had a ALS function last week for Steve Fisher, and the team came and support, coaches, everybody came and support, and I was just amazed at how big they were. I'm standing next to these guys, and I'm like, I would love to play with these guys because I know the physicality, like they just impose, like a sense of like, oh my God, like, we gotta fight these big guys, and they're, not scared of playing inside. They're not scared of mixing it up, throwing a couple of elbows, rocking the rim. I see some nice dunks coming down the lanes, baselines, some good dump offs. So, like I said, I'm excited to see how it's going to play out this year.
It's cool now. We seem to have a lot of players from overseas who come to Ann Arbor. Obviously, the Wagner boys, and there are a couple international guys on the team. You had a chance to play overseas, and I don't really know as much about your overseas career as I should. I just got back from a crazy trip to Ciudad Obregón in Mexico. I'm working on a project about the Jamaican national team and their quest to advance in the World Cup at FIBA. FIBA basketball is different. International basketball is different. A lot of international guys have touched the wood out in, Chrysler Arena. But talk to me a little bit about what it was like to play overseas. Where did you play?
It's different. It is a different experience. I played over in Venezuela twice, and I played in Poland. And great experiences, like I said. But the game is different. It's more physical. It was definitely more physical. Players are better than I think people expect them to be, and they play a good team game. It's not so much individuality. It's a good team game, but you got to get used to knocking the ball off the rim. That's the biggest thing. Like when you shoot it and you standing there and the guys come and knock it off the rim, you like, oh yeah, that's part of the play. The free throw line, the lane obviously is a little different. It's more like a trapezoid kind of style versus a rectangle. But that's it. That's probably the biggest things that I can say is different. But it's still basketball. I love it. It's fun. I'll go anywhere to play. That's why you got guys coming back and forth. Guys coming from Europe trying to play in the league. You got guys, leaving here from college, going overseas. So I think it's a great way of great exchange of talent.
Yeah, but they don't have Zingermans in Poland or in Venezuela. You know what I mean? They don't have spots. Like,
right.
What were your spots?
They don't have a Blimpie burger. There's no Blimpies. Nothing like that.
Blimpie burger. Shout out to Blimpie burger. I used to love that spot. What were your spots on campus? And where do you go now? You can see you posted up at the Brown Jug when you're on campus, where do you hang out when you're in Ann Arbor?
I'm always at the Brown Jug. Perry's my guy. Everybody knows Perry. He take care of us. He's always taking care of us. But that's one of the spots. That's always a staple spot every time we come in Ann Arbor. A couple other spots, downtown. It's so eclectic now, and it's nice. Like there's so many options. It's almost like almost like a destination college town because you got so much to do. You got shopping. You got desserts. You got restaurants. So I still go to the Pretzel Bell. I go to the Black Pearl. I go to the Blue Llama, Chop House, all up and down Main Street. If I'm not on South U, but I try to avoid South U. That's for the younger crowd. I got that out when that was my East Quad, South Quad days.
Yeah, I lived on South Forest, so I know that part of town very, very well. But it's so crazy, man. You think about it. Back when you guys were playing, maybe you're putting together meal money. You guys are out there being national stars, but this is well before the days of NIL. And the Fab Five comes up all the time when people say, "Oh my gosh, imagine what NIL would have been like for those guys today." When you see the landscape in college sports changing, as somebody who probably helped propel that change, took a little while, but here we are. Like, how do you feel about it? How do you think your experience might have been different? And what do you think about sort of this current state of NIL in college sports?
I love it. I think it's long overdue for the athletes to get their share in the market. I think it's great that the rules change, that the players can now receive money that is really life-changing, generational changing in some cases. At an early age. If we had that opportunity, I think it bodes well for, your future endeavors, like businesses, opportunities, relationships with corporations and companies. It's just incredible. And so I love to see the opportunities that they're getting now. I hear, rumors about them, they need to put, kind of scale it back or, get some kind of control over it. But I'm like, it doesn't seem out of control. It just seems like, the market is set. They'll get what they're going to get or what they can negotiate. And I don't see anything, wrong with it. I think it's the best thing. And I do wish we had it when we were playing. Because I'd have bought me a couple of Lambos or, roll around and listen, I would have pulled up at South Quad on Madison Street in a Lamb. That's probably one thing I would do.
Something tells me you guys still had it pretty nice while you're on campus out there at the heyday of the Fab Five.
That's the misnomer. We were putting our money together to get to. I tell this all the time. We were pooling our money together to eat Taco Bell. Taco Bell was 29-cent tacos then. The five of us would walk up with change, like just in our hands, and just put it on the counter. And then they would just be like, you know what? Don't worry about it. Just give a tray of tacos.
Yeah.
That was college life, man.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Hot dogs, sausages, ramen noodles, See, but this is why I tell young kids, especially in the class, right? You gotta get you a cook. You gotta get a cook. Well, and I don't mean to be sexist, like a guy or a girl. Somebody that can cook, because you're gonna need some home cooked meals during those cold days in Ann Arbor. So,
wow, that's crazy. What a different time, man. What a crazy time. In addition to obviously the four other members of the Fab Five, a lot of interesting, cool guys on that team. Rob Pelinka's fashion as an adult. Can we talk about the jackets at the press conferences, Jimmy? You guys have a reputation as cultural and fashion icons, and he's rocking these jackets at the press conferences. What's going on with your man, Rob?
I love it. That's Rob. This is why I love it, because that's Rob. And if he did anything else, I would be concerned. But that's Rob. He's fashion forward. He's not scared to wear certain ensembles and pieces. And I appreciate that about him. Jalen is the same way. I hear people talk about him all the time. They still talk about his draft suit. And sometimes some things that he may wear, and I'm always for it. Like, I love it. Rob, even back then, like in school, the one thing that used to stick out was he used to tuck his sweaters in his pants. So when we were, dressed up for a banquet or a function, he would have his sweatshirts tucked in his pants. And that's one thing we did ride him for. But Rob didn't care. He still did it. That was the point. He didn't care. We laughed about it, joked with him, teased him. He still did it.
I see him at these press conferences, even the schmedium jacket. I'm like, you're part of the Fab Five legacy. Can we get you a large or an extra large? Like, what are you doing with the tight jackets, bro?
You know what? I'm gonna put a bug in his ear. I'm gonna hit Rob up and be like, hey, Rob, man, look, there's a concern about your jacket size. So let's see if we could go up a size or two.
It's got to be cool for you to see him in this position now as your teammate in college, and he's now bringing Luka to Los Angeles. I mean, that's got to be kind of fun for you.
I love it. Rob was always a hard worker, smart guy, a guy that we knew he was going to do some big things, some great things. He had at one point 15 of the top NBA players on his roster when he was an NBA agent. I mean, his roster was ridiculous, and that's a testament to the person he is, how much he knows about the business. And don't sleep, Rob has a great basketball resume, not just as a executive, but as a player. He has a championship. He's been to 3 Final Fours. That's phenomenal in a 5-year span.
And that's what you start to appreciate as you get older, right? The game of life and just the game of basketball. Guys who have really impressive resumes. And I love that when the Raptors were honoring their, franchise's history, they made sure you were a big part of that, which is really cool that you were able to be a part of the NBA and play with the Raptors as that organization was starting. And you've touched the game now in so many different ways. What does the game mean to you right now? And how are you still involved in basketball?
I always loved the game. It's given me so much. It takes me back to my childhood, but even through my adult years, it's still providing for me. I still do camps and clinics. I just did a camp in Ann Arbor at Skyline High School, my Fab Five camp. Ray Jackson, Jalen Rose, stopped by. Dugan Fife, Chris Fields, Troy Sanchez. So we had a lot of guys come through, speak to the kids. I do the same kind of things in Dallas as well. I'm part of the National Basketball Retired Players Association. And we run camps and clinics throughout the city, Dallas-Fort Worth area, in conjunction with PAL and the Boys and Girls Club. And then, recreational centers in areas, certain areas. So we're looking to expand that and grow that and get a lot of participation as well. And, of course, relationship with the Mavericks, Maktar Njai, he's the lead scout for the Mavericks. My former teammate at the University of Michigan, Tracy Webster, who I played against with Wisconsin, also works with the Mavericks. Michael Finley, Jason Kidd, those are all, my guys. Nico Harris, all my people. So I still have a relationship with those guys, and I'm still close to the NBA.
And you forgot one part of that basketball resume, Jimmy. You were my coach in the celebrity game. Come
That's
on,
right.
Athletes Unlimited.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and it was in honor of Miss Cheryl Swoops, the beautiful Cheryl Swoops, who was a killer in her own right.
Definitely.
That's right. We did.
That's
did it
right.
in Dallas.
That's right.
Yeah,
so did you ever think about formally coaching? I know coaching me and a bunch of, scrubs or whatever isn't necessarily the top of the totem pole, but
I got gay.
Yeah, did you ever think about coaching, or is that something that, had crossed your mind at some point in your life or career?
Absolutely. I coached. And again, running camps and clinics is coaching.
Yeah.
I did coach officially for high school at Ecorse High School in Detroit. And currently, I kind of stepped away, but currently I'm looking back to get back into coaching, training, scouting, anything like that. Because I was in the NBA coaches program a couple of years ago, and I stepped away to go back to school and build my business.
Very cool.
Like Fab5.com, True Champions. True Champions is a sports recruiting firm. We help kids transition from high school to college by procuring athletic scholarships. So, of course, D1, D2, D3, NAI, and JUCO kids are, our targets.
Very cool.
As they graduate 8th grade, they're eligible, to be to start using our platform and program.
You're not the only member of the Fab Five who's, in the world of coaching. Obviously, Juwan Howard, and, coached at Michigan and now at the Brooklyn Nets, down in Miami before that. That moment when you guys all came back to watch Juwan coach and you came out on the court, first time in the building since '93. I don't think you understand just how much that moment meant to so many people. There's so many of us who look up to you guys and admire everything you guys did, and to see you all back in that moment together was really impactful. And I wonder just what it meant to you to be able to share that with Juwan while he was still coaching at U of M.
It was awesome. I still think about it. Like, I love that moment. And it felt like we were back at school, being on campus, being at Chrysler Arena, after the game, right? The fanfare was great. The reception was great. But afterwards, when we, finally were able to get together and break bread and chill together, it was literally like we were 18 again, and we were just walking up on campus and walking in the South Quad, and how everything just, is just seamless, and there's nothing forced. Everybody, kind of just falls right back into, their personalities and who they are. And you could just tell that we all complement each other. So it was just great from that standpoint to still have that, kind of camaraderie relationship and feel. But no, it was great. It was special. And I look forward to doing it again. We're working on something, pretty soon. Like, just keep, eyes and ears open. it might be in the next month or so.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, you let us know at the lab. We'll be there to support. I just think that was really, really cool to see you guys all together after all these years. And, obviously you and Jalen have a very close relationship. I know within the group, you're very supportive of all the work that he's been doing in the city of Detroit. Has this big golf outing every year. And it feels like every year at the golf outing, Jalen always says, "This is the year I'm going to pick up golf." And then we all see how Jalen swings the golf club and we go, okay, I guess it's going to be next year, Jalen. I never get to see you play, though. We're always paired up in different groups. How is your group? We got to figure that out next year. But how is your golf game?
I know some people. We could get that done.
How is your golf game, though? Do you get a chance to play, or is it just like Jalen? It seems like every year at the outing.
It's up and down because I don't play consistently. I can like some days you'll catch me and it look like you'd be like, oh my God, like I'm with him, and then the next day it'll look like I'm not with him. So like that's how I play. I'm up and down. There's no consistency. I don't play enough.
Yeah.
That's the one thing. If next year, that's what I'm gonna do.
See?
Right now, Ben, I'll tell you, next year, I'm gonna work this next year.
Can you imagine?
To out at least once a week. I think that'll do it.
That would be great.
Once a week, I think I'll get
There's something about too with you professional athletes when you set when professional athletes like set their mind on something, whatever it is, you guys approach it with like a different level of mental focus that us civilians just don't have. And so the idea of like unleashing Jimmy King, the golfer, it's actually probably pretty doable, So I hope that happens, man.
So I'll go back. So when I was playing consistently, and I at one point I was playing 3-4 times a week because I stayed across the street from a golf course. It was convenient. I was kicking tail.
Yeah, you were locked in.
I was blowing that ball out.
You were locked in.
But then I took a little break. I broke my driver, and then I got in my head, and then I stopped playing.
Mm-hmm.
And, so now it's like some days I go in out there, and I'm like, oh yeah, I got this. And some days it's
that's
trash.
Golf. That's golf in the game of life, right? But I'd be curious just to take it back to the beginning, just quickly, like. How close were you not going to Michigan? Was anything else in play? And do you think about the sliding doors effect sometimes that if you chose to maybe go to UNLV or to Texas or somebody else, like you wouldn't have had these friendships. You wouldn't be at that golf tournament. You wouldn't be on this podcast. You wouldn't have been on Family Feud. Like everything happens for a reason. But how close were you to actually not going to Michigan?
I was pretty close. I think the two other schools that I consider heavily and that I would have chose over or instead of Michigan was Kansas, and the other was Georgetown. Because I have very close relationships with the coach. Roy Williams was the head coach at Kansas at that time, and we were very close. And John Thompson at Georgetown. I have a good relationship with him. And if I didn't go to Michigan, I probably would have ended up at one of those two schools.
Wow. How grateful are you, though, that you chose to rock the Block M and you're part of Michigan Wolverine history and legacy and just
everywhere we go. Everywhere we go, they recognize the Block M.
Yeah.
They don't necessarily know the Bulldog or the Jayhawk, but they know that Block M.
It's crazy when you wear the hat in an airport, how many people shout "Go Blue" or just say something to you. Like, what corner of the globe, where have you been in the world where somebody recognizes that, oh, you're part of the Michigan family?
Perfect story. This blew my mind. I was over in Rome. I was in Italy, and I'm like walking down the street by myself. There's nobody on the street, right? I'm looking around. I'm like taking it all in. I'm like, wow, this is beautiful. I can't believe I'm over here. And then out of nowhere, I hear Jimmy King. And I turn around, and it was just a random guy on the street. And he just ran up to me. He was like, oh, my God. And I'm looking at him like, how do you even know me? And at that moment, I was like, oh, I'm international. Like, this is huge. This is big. Like people recognize you off the street randomly. on the other side of the world. So that, especially in that time, back in the 90s. So, you know, it wasn't no social media. It was all print back then. And for him to recognize me like that on the street, that's when I realized, like, it was a pretty big deal. Like that, we etched something special in a lot of minds.
You know, you guys are so synonymous, obviously, with the fashion and with the socks and the shorts and the attitude and all of it. But something I love in the documentary that really comes out is the guys, like all of your love for music. And I love asking the current student athletes to put me onto stuff of what they're listening to before the games and whatnot. But what was the soundtrack to the Fab Five?
Oh, our soundtrack was cold. We had, you know, see, back then it was really more hip hop. We didn't have a lot of R&B, or we weren't listening to a lot of R&B at that time. But it was EPMD, it was Ice Cube, it was Gangstar, who else? NWA, like, you know, Arabi, Rakim. I mean, you know, like Run DMC, you know, Big Daddy Kane, KRS-One, Scarface, you know, I mean, MC Breed. There's so many. Uncle Luke, Snoop, like everything. That, like, you get a heavy rotation from east to west, even south. You know, you get some down south music as well, even some Midwest music, some Chicago style, some Detroit style. But yeah, all of them were pretty much a rotation at that time. It wasn't no Garth Brooks or, you know, nothing like that.
This is going to be the only time, unfortunately, that these artists are shouted out on the lab, because I'm going to be interviewing tons of current student athletes who are going to be putting me onto stuff.
I would love to hear what they got to say. I know, that's what I'm saying. Like, you know, put me on. I think right now the top guy's got to be Kendrick. K-Dot is probably, in my opinion, the top guy in the game right now.
Jimmy, you're always going to be one of the top guys in the game for me, man. You know, I got nothing but love for you, and I appreciate you being a part of the lab. It's only right that we start with family. So to have you on as our first guest, it feels great. So I really appreciate it. I hope to see you on campus this year. We got to catch a game. I know you're dialed in on the football. What are your expectations for the football team this year?
No, that you know, I haven't really even checked it. I haven't been on the roster, like I haven't, but I'm about to. Like I haven't like dialed in and really looked at, you know, who is doing what. But I am. I can't wait to see our quarterback. I can't wait to see Underwood do his thing, because I watched him in high school. I actually went to go see him in high school, and yeah, he was a man amongst boys out there, and it was cold. It was, you know, so he could play in the elements. It was snowing. Like, I was standing out there freezing, but I was watching this kid, you know, make phenomenal plays in adverse conditions. And so what I've been hearing about him, what I've been seeing, that's probably the main thing that I'm anticipating for the football season, and I'm excited about.
See, you're downplaying it like, oh, I don't really know what's going on yet, but let me give you some scouting on Bryce Underwood in high school. He's good in the snow. Like, you are dialed in. Don't sell yourself short there, dude, all right?
Well, I mean, you know, for the totality.
Sure,
that,
the team,
you know,
the team. I get it.
Yeah,
the team. Well, hey, man, best of luck, and I hope to check in with you again throughout the season. And
anytime, my brother.
You're the greatest. Fab Five for life. There he is, Jimmy King, joining the show right now. Ben Lyons here on the first episode of The Lab from Champ Media. All right, that was my conversation with number 24, Jimmy King. What a legend. What a Michigan man. I mean, God, it's the idea of how iconic those guys were back then in the early 90s. And this is all pre-NIL. And just the idea of him pulling up in a Lambo on campus, like, come on. I mean, that is not too crazy to think of, because they really were at the center of not just the college sports universe, but just American culture. I mean, these guys were icons and were legends back then, at a very different time in college sports. I love hearing the stories about Rob Pelinka. People forget that Rob, who now runs the Lakers, was a part of those Michigan teams, and their friendship obviously has endured to this day. So big shout out to Jimmy King for making some time with us. And I love how he gave us some scouting on Bryce Underwood too. he kind of played it off like he's not dialed into the program. It's not true, Jimmy. I texted Jimmy like every Saturday in the fall. We're talking Michigan football. And then, of course, he saw Bryce play in high school and says that he can throw it in the snow. So I really do love what a passionate fan of Michigan Jimmy is, in addition, of course, to being a Michigan legend. All right, that's our latest episode of The Lab. My name is Ben Lyons. Be sure to follow Champ Media for all the shows, as well as The Lab, and be sure to download, subscribe, check out our YouTube page. We're starting to build something here. We're starting to build up a library of episodes, and having Jimmy King in the mix is only just the start of things. So we got a lot more to come with the members of the Fab Five, plus diving deep into the basketball team as well. So I hope you enjoyed this episode of The Lab, and we'll see you next time right here on Champ Media. Go Blue.
This is Jimmy King of the Fab Five, and you're watching Champ Media.